Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 52. I'm your host, Pam, and today we're going to be talking about building a supportive tribe and why community is the key to success. Before we get started, I wanted to, remind you that for the month of March, I will be dropping in an extra episode on Thursdays called Thursday Thoughts with Pam. And you can find it right here on You the Boss. Just, I wanted to do something a little bit extra for Women's Month and, just to put some more content out there for you guys. So let's get started. Having a community in anything is what sets us up for success. Being surrounded by other people that are experiencing the things that we're experiencing or have already, and they're able to relate to us and we're able to kind of like pinpoint off of them is so important. So whether that's in the job market or in motherhood or becoming a father or, in grief, community always shines like that torch in keeping us in the light and being able to just move forward. And I think that sometimes when you're an ambitious person, you're so used to leading yourself. You're so used to just looking out for yourself, doing for yourself, learning everything yourself, and we forget that aspect of community. And so with this episode, I want to kind of gear it towards that in ways that we can find more community, we can build like our tribe, and we're able to just have that little pocket of the world so that we can continue to be successful in whatever we decide that we want to do. So it's important in communities for you to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Success thrives in the environments that you're able to, have people around you that are motivated. If you're looking to go to the gym and you start going and then you get used to the same couple of people that go at the same time as you become almost accountable. Like maybe sometimes you don't even talk to them. Maybe sometimes you just see them often enough where like maybe you won't see them for a little bit and they'll come back and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to see you. It's been a while since I've seen you." Like that's so important. It's so important to be in that room because people see you, but also you see other people and we all need each other in that collective way. It also helps boost motivation and accountability. When you're in a community, it helps you stay motivated. If you see Sarah accomplish this goal that she was looking to accomplish, and you guys are maybe you're on the same track or in the same pathway of accomplishing different things. Seeing her accomplish that, it boosts you. It gives you that motivation. It keeps you focused and it keeps you accountable to your goals. It also helps, in finding different connections that you can nurture. Different relationships. We always think that you just network when you're looking to change jobs or you just network when you're trying to find something. And networking is not just that. It is also just that community, being able to have people that uplift you, that inspire you. It's intentional to work on those relationships like, any relationship, whether it is platonic, business, or even romantic. It's important to nurture these relationships and nurture that network. And, coming up, there is power of collaboration, collaborating with others, being able to say, you know what, I know this person who is very strong in this one arena, and I want to amplify that for her. I want to mention her name in those rooms that maybe I'm in, that maybe she's not able to get in right now. And it's important to recognize the power of collaboration because we it's a way for us to remember where we came from. It's a way for us to say, you know what? I met this person along the way. They are doing so great. Let me see if I can extend a hand to them and bring them to this table so that we can eat together. It's a way for us to showcase how maybe we have conquered something or how we have achieved a dream, and we can show other people how to do the same. We can show other people that their dreams are real, that they are so valid. And it helps to be able to use that collaboration because, teamwork makes the dream work. That's not just a saying. It is what it takes for us to achieve our dreams. Like there is not a single person that has achieved anything in this life that achieved it without someone giving them a chance. There are so many different things that we forget when it comes to collaboration, that we don't realize just how important we are to one another. And in this episode, I am going to give you 5 or 6 tips to, you know, finding and creating and nurturing the connections that you make so that they can uplift you and continue to provide for you. But I do want to take a moment to thank every person that has been on this podcast. I started doing interviews. I think it was my second year into having a podcast, and at this point I've connected with different people, different women that I've had on the podcast that are doing phenomenal work in their own places. I've interviewed pelvic floor therapists. I've interviewed business owners. I've interviewed people that have done TED Talks. I've interviewed people who are financial planners, people that are just doing so much great work, and there's more to come. I've interviewed people who have been entrepreneurs and have pivoted to going back to the corporate space, and all of this is a collaboration. We've made decisions, we've had discussions about collaborating and connecting and being able to foster that. And there's also the collaborations that I've made outside of this podcast, people whose podcasts I've been on. Therapy Without a Degree has been very influential in me having a podcast, and I will definitely tag them in the notes. But, that is one podcast that I listen to, and it's also run by a good friend of mine. But the reason I mention that is because of how many connections we are connected to, and the collaboration that goes into that. And sometimes those collaborations can just be a door to us meeting new people, and other times those collaborations can become so influential in the nature of who we start to become and achieve our dreams, that we should always remember to pay that gratitude forward. And we should always remember just how real that is. So I do want to focus a little bit of I guess mentioning the like-minded individuals and success, and how that thrives, because you're not going to get positive from a negative person by you being positive. It is always going to come from a positive person. And while that is something to recognize, and that is something to pay attention to as far as the way people have their mindset around you, it's important to note that it is a choice that you have to actively make to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. If you wanted to become a stay-at-home mom, you need to surround yourself by women who are doing it successfully. If you want to parent your children better, if you want to, you know, maybe you want to start gardening, maybe you want to start doing your own DIY projects, maybe you want to play better video games so that you can play with your husband. Whatever that looks like for you, you need to surround yourself with people who are either where you want to be, or are in the same mindset of you, of let's teach each other things so that we can continue to move forward. And I think this is a very important topic, because sometimes there's competition in different arenas and different things that we want to accomplish. And I'm not going to focus on that today. I'm going to focus on the positive of that, because when you surround yourself with maybe someone who's a little bit of a running mate, maybe someone who maybe they're a little bit ahead of you, or they just got started before you did, and something that you're looking to accomplish, it's so important to surround yourself with those creative minds, with those minds that are doing these things, because it motivates you. It doesn't only motivate you, it puts you in the headspace of constantly creating, of constantly wanting to do the things that you told yourself you were going to do. If I'm an aspiring baseball player and I hang out with someone who doesn't play sports, and I don't mean like a friend or something like that, I mean like someone I actively spend a lot of time with, and I go and I spend more time around them, they're not going to help me to achieve my dream of becoming a baseball player. That's just a fact. And so that's why it's so important for you to focus on being around these like minded individuals. Maybe the people that you want to get around are not as easily accessible, whether that's because maybe they're a celebrity already, maybe you're not sure how to get on the same page with them, or they're just at a further reach. There is another way for you to connect with them, and that is to listen to the different things that they have to say. A lot of the time these people have different outlets, different forms of social media, and you can connect with them on there. You can listen to them on there. You can devote yourself to joining different groups and joining different chats and subscription channels and all of those things, because that will help you stay in that like-minded individual air. It helps you stay in that aura. And so I want to give you guys, 5 or 6 tips for finding and nurturing connections that will uplift you, that will provide you with, staying with those like-minded individuals, being able to allow your success to thrive, allowing yourself to stay motivated, people who share goals with you. So number 1, be intentional about networking. Yes, I said the N word, networking. It's so important, and it's a lot of work. It's like dating for business. You go to different happy hours, you go to different places, and it does take time. It does take energy. It takes effort. And I'm here to tell you that that's what it takes to be a boss. Networking is one of the best things that you can do for yourself in anything that you do. It allows you to participate with groups that are in the same mind frame as you. Maybe they're aspiring millionaires, maybe they're aspiring startups. Um, Maybe they just have the similar passions to you, similar drives to you. You want to get around these people. You want to be intentional about your networking and where you spend your time. Number 2, now that you're starting to network, you should definitely practice active listening. You know, listen to other people's ideas just the same as you would want them listening to yours. Listen to their experiences. Take notes, when you're speaking to these different people. And I know that it can be sometimes difficult, especially like if you have an issue remembering names or remembering different details. And that's why it's just so important for you to be intentional about your networking and for you to practice active listening. This builds trust. It helps them feel encouraged, which would in turn help them encourage you. And it also makes the relationship with them more meaningful and more authentic. Number 3, be the first one to offer support. When you're networking and you're building a supportive network, don't build from the position of what can they do for me? Build from the position of what can you do for them? Because I'm a believer that whatever you put out, it comes back to you tenfold. So if you put out yourself, you put out that support and you put out the generosity, it's going to come back to you times a million. So definitely be the first one to offer support. Number 4, surround yourself with positivity. Avoid the toxic environments. Avoid getting around people who you need to motivate more than they motivate you. Avoid getting around people who drain your energy. I know that this isn't happy talk, that this isn't, a kumbaya session, but it is what it is. Sometimes the environments that we're familiar with can be toxic, especially when it comes for us to building a community. And so we want to keep in mind, how important it is to just always assess the environments and just remember that sometimes people get into a drain your energy kind of system, and you want to be able to just surround yourself with more of that positivity. Number 5, being consistent is key. You want to nurture your relationships. You want to stay in touch, send emails, connections on LinkedIn, connections on Instagram, reacting. You want to build a strong network and you want to build consistency. And again, I know that this sounds like a lot of work. Like, are you supposed to network and do this with every single person that you meet every single time? Not necessarily. You start to learn that there are seasons for different people and you will connect with them in different seasons. And maybe someone you met 10 years ago is not a connection anymore. And maybe they've pivoted in their lives and you've pivoted in yours. It's just a matter of that immediate connection, the immediate relationships that you have, is staying in touch with those, getting in contact with them, checking in, and just being dependable and always being open for encouragement and also being open to serve them and offering support. And number 6, this one is so true. And before I say it, I just want to say that this is so important to be able to find this in your community and in those that surround you, and that's to collaborate and share ideas. Find opportunities to work together on projects, or maybe they can refer you and you refer them, and share your resources and celebrate each other. There is not enough celebrating that can be done in this life. You won't have the regrets of not celebrating something. Like, you'll have the regret of not celebrating it. You won't have the regret of celebrating it. And when you collaborate with other people, it leads to stronger and more productive bonds. It leads to more connections. It leads, for you to stay consistent in what it is that you're doing, both at work, in your business, in your side hustle. It allows for you to continue to be intentional. It allows for you to continue to practice that active listening. And in sharing ideas, maybe it'll speak to something that maybe you've wanted to do for a long time but haven't had the chance to. And maybe someone will say, hey, remember when you said you wanted to do this? Like, I just came across this opportunity. Are you still interested? And because you shared that goal, because you shared that effort in a collaborative format, you were able to have someone hear you, and that person can put you in a different place. Winding down a little bit, I think it's important to understand that community, like anything else, is ever changing and ever growing. You see this a lot on social media. You might see this a lot in on YouTube, and even around the certain circles of motivational speaking and different podcasters. And that's that when you're in that community, sometimes you hear more of the bad than you hear of the good. And so I want to challenge you and encourage you actually to build upon the good parts. Go and build upon the positive of community. If you know someone who's an up and coming podcaster, if you know someone who is looking to become a motivational speaker, if you're someone who is learning that other people want to learn photography and you're a photographer, and maybe you're looking just to collaborate, you're looking to connect, you want to do the right thing always, but put yourself out there. Collaborate, listen, flood yourself with that different form of connection with other people, because it is so vital for what we all do, no matter the field that you're in. But it's good for the soul. It's good for you to connect with other human beings outside of your phone, outside of your immediate situation. It allows a fresh pair of eyes into whatever it is that you're dealing with, both negative and positive. Thank you so much for listening. Come back again next week for our regular episode, and come back again Thursday for another episode of You the Boss podcast.